Hi, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the first two videos. It's going pretty well. Thank you for subscribing. Those that have, thank you for the kind comments. I really appreciate them. I'm going to do another blind smelling today. I purchased very recently this discovery set, Frederic Malle. I became interested in Frederic Malle's fragrances after seeing a video of him in an interview. Just a wonderful man, very descriptive with his words, really fascinating to listen to. And obviously it got me interested in wanting to smell some of his products. And they probably aren't the products that I would normally seek out. You know, they're, from the sound of it, they're quite artistic, they're a little bit different. So they're definitely, I think, scents that I wouldn't immediately be drawn to, but sometimes those are the scents that we can find really interesting and exciting, and especially after you leave them for a while on the skin. You know, I've had that before where things that I've thought were just not suitable for me at all, after an hour or so I kind of became addicted to them, and some of them were smells that were unexpected, you know, that I just couldn't get enough of. So that's what really excites me about perfumery, fragrance, is that it's not this kind of immediate thing. It's literally, as it says on here, it's a discovery. You know, sometimes you can smell something and automatically straight away you kind of know that, yeah, that's your kind of smell. Other times that can happen and you can leave it on your skin for a while and it's not so good. But what I really enjoy is when I'm not kind of sure of something, it may be quite complex and I can't quite pick it out, and then given an amount of time it almost becomes an addictive smell that, you know, you can't stop kind of putting your arm up to your face and taking another breath. So let's see what I make of these. I haven't really got any idea what's in them, so I'm going to try and have a guess. Some people have kindly said I'm doing quite well with that, but I do stress I'm an amateur at guessing smells, so I'm probably better at just describing the overall package and things that it reminds me of, and what it kind of symbolizes to me. So there's 6 fragrances in here. I'm not going to do them all in one. I'll break this video into 2 because I do want to put some on skin, and if I try to get 6 on my skin, it's going to be impossible to kind of differentiate. So I'm going to do one, and then probably further up the arm, and that should allow me to have a pretty decent understanding of how they smell on skin. And then in the next couple of days I'll just make the other half of the video. Someone also kindly commented and said, can you spray in the air and just get a sense of what these fragrances are like in the air as well? They like the fact I put it on skin and on the testing strip. So yes, no problem, we'll put them in the air. I would love to say, you know, that I didn't need to buy these little kits and that we could just have big bottles of everything, but being a new channel, that's virtually impossible, and I would probably get killed by my wife if I bought entire sets of some of these quite expensive fragrances. I'm already in trouble, frankly, so I don't want to get into more trouble. So I think the easiest way, 3 of these are by perfumer Dominique Ropion. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. My French is pretty awful because I'm English, obviously. And we'll get cracking. The first of these is Carnal Flower. So some of these are really iconic. You know, I've obviously heard of Carnal Flower before. I've heard of Frederic Malle. They're fragrances that often get discussed. They're basically iconic. But as I said, they're just things that I've never tried for myself before because they didn't seem to kind of fit my usual vibe. Let's put it that way. So we'll go for a spray in the air. Okay, I mean, definitely floral, a little musky, but highly floral, not in a particularly unpleasant way. You know, I'm not normally a floral fan. I find that that's quite a feminine scent, but actually this is reasonably balanced. You know, it could definitely be unisex, and there's maybe a hint of citrus there as well, and a little bit of woodiness. So we'll go onto the strip and we'll go onto the wrist. Now, my wife always tells me off because I rub, and she always says, no, pat, pat. So I'll give it a pat just to please her in case she watches. I'm not sure it makes any difference, frankly. So let's have a smell. So this actually reminds me of like cut flowers. You know, if you were cutting the stems of daffodils or tulips or something like that and putting them in a vase, it's got that kind of fresh, watery flower kind of vibe to it. So that's what I meant when I said there was a floral aspect, but it's not like highly floral as if you've just crushed all the petals and made a really intense kind of juice out of the petals. It's more of, you know, it's almost like the overall flower, the stem and everything. So it's kind of quite a fresh smell. It has some sweetness, but there's definitely a fresh green smell to it. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm picking up something fruity. To me, it leans slightly citrus, and that there's added sweetness, like a fruity sweetness as well. I'm not sure if I'm saying citrus because I'm also picking up that kind of green flower stem kind of vibe, or if it is actually a citrus fruit. Yeah, I mean, it's a very pleasing smell. Like I said, it's not something I would normally be drawn to wearing, but we'll see how it goes on skin. Yeah, and there's like almost a woody, musky vibe in the background. So it's fairly complex. You know, the smell itself is quite complex. I don't know if it has a lot of different ingredients. Those are the ones I can pick out. Let's see what I can make out on the skin. Now, I actually prefer it on skin. It's a little more muted. I'm losing some of that kind of cut green stem. It's still in the background. It's not at all as pertinent as I can smell on this strip. There's a big difference, you know. This is it has more depth to it. It's more of a mid-tone compared to this, which is a kind of high tone in my nose. Yeah, and this is more musky, a little more bassy, so I actually prefer it on my skin, which is why it's always worth, you know, testing it in different ways. Like someone said, could you spray it in the air? Because that's going to give you an idea of what other people are smelling when it's kind of leaching off you into the air. But on the skin is obviously what we're most interested in, because all of our skins are different, so they're going to produce slightly different smells. So, you know, these reviews are interesting to watch, but you should always try it on your own skin because none of us are going to be exactly the same. Yeah, I would say it hasn't massively changed the smell. It's just become a little more bassy and a little more muted on skin, which I actually quite like. You know, it's quite a pleasing fragrance, and I would probably wear that. I think I could wear that if I was having a romantic evening. You know, I don't think it would be out of place there. I probably wouldn't wear it to like a business dinner, but certainly for like a romantic evening or even just day wear. I've no idea if this is unisex, but hey, who cares? You know, you can wear whatever you like. That was a real eye-opener for me when I travel around the Arabic regions. You know, before it became popular in this country to have kind of unisex perfume and people not be so bothered about which they wore, it was quite shocking when I was in these Arabic regions and I would say, which are the men's scents? And they would say, all of them. And I would say, which ones are the women's scents? You know, is this a men's only shop? And they would say, no, all the scents are women's. And I'd be like, so they're all for men and women? And they were like, yeah, there's no differentiation here. So, you know, that was a real eye-opener to me, and it kind of made me think, why are we so judgmental about that, this sort of gendering of smell? Obviously there's smells that we are more drawn to, but I don't think we need to put like hard genders on them. If there's a guy that feels like he likes a real feminine smell and that's what he wants to rock, then more power to him. But yeah, I think I could pull that off. And it's a pleasing smell, you know, I quite like it. It really reminds me of my mum, like cutting up tulips or daffodils and putting them in vases when I was young. I haven't done that for years, you know, we just don't do that anymore in the house, but it has got that beautiful smell to it that it's really reminded me of. So next up is Promise. It's the only one in a black tester. I don't know if there's any specific reason for that, but Promise, to be honest, is not one I've heard of. So I'll give it a spray in the air. Got some in my eye, that doesn't matter. Now, this is definitely up my street. I can tell that already. It's a little bit more kind of incensey, woody, definitely a more masculine scent than the last one. It's nowhere near as floral smelling. Yeah, very much up my street, this one. I could definitely imagine already wearing that. Maybe a little oudy as well. Maybe catching a little oud there. I'll put some on the strip. And then some on the wrist here. Give it a dab so I don't get in trouble. Okay, let's have a smell. So I am now picking up a little bit of floral. So I think I'm picking up some rose. Because it was quite strong on the kind of more pungent kind of like a Middle Eastern kind of smell. That was the thing I first got. But now it's settling down. I'm picking up some rose. I'm picking up some patchouli. And I'm pretty sure I smell oud. It's quite a mild oud smell. It's not anything too animalic, but I mean, this is really, really good. I would absolutely wear this. You know, I can tell that already. It's a great smell. Very Middle Eastern vibe. Kind of reminds me of walking through a souk and all the kind of spices and smells combining. It's a little bit peppery. I wouldn't say quite incense, but it's definitely got that kind of Middle Eastern spicy aroma to it. Let's have a go on skin. Yeah, actually on skin I'm picking up more of the rose, and I think maybe a little bit of clove oil, something like that. Yeah, very, very pleasing, very Middle Eastern. I'm probably way out on my estimates of what's actually in it, so we'll wait and see. So I'm going with some rose, some oud, I think a little bit of clove oil, and some patchouli. That's what I'm picking up. But like I say, I'm not anywhere near a professional nose, so we'll have to wait and see. At the end I will run through all of these and we'll just have an idea of how I actually did. Not that it matters too much, because the main thing is, did I enjoy the smell? What does it remind me of? And like I said, that kind of, to me, sets the scene of travel, mystery, a busy souk, you know, with lots going on. The Middle East. I love Middle Eastern scents. That's definitely something I could wear for business. I could wear as a daily wearer. I would happily wear that daily. You know, I probably will buy a bottle of that. It's so good. And then the last one we have, which is one I've definitely heard of, PortraitOfALady, and I'm sure you've heard of this as well. No doubt most of you have smelled this. So we'll spray some into the air. Well, straight away that gives me like a very expensive Turkish delight, you know, like the jelly sweet. Yeah, that's exactly the first thing I get from that. Very nice. And then we go onto the strip. Make sure I get it on there. And then we'll go right up the top of the arm, because I'm running out of space otherwise. Dab that on. Looks like I'm about to have an injection if I do that, but okay, let's have a go with the strip. Yeah, it's got that Turkish delight kind of vibe to it, which I think I would have to say is a little bit of rose. There's something sweet in there as well. Again, leaning a little bit Middle Eastern. It's not in the same ballpark as the last one at all. It's definitely more floral than that. The last one was kind of more Promise, was more earthy, a little more masculine smelling. And again, this smells to me unisex, you know, I could happily wear this. Now it's kind of calming down a bit. I'm picking up a bit more, almost of a musky note in the background. It could be frankincense. Now let's have a smell on skin. Yeah, I'm actually picking up that background now, and it definitely smells more like frankincense to me. Really pleasant smell. I think this is the smell that I can imagine that I would try on, and then like an hour or two later I would become quite addicted to it. I can already tell it's something that I'm fascinated by, you know, I'm wanting to smell it more, which is what fragrance is all about. You should want to smell it, you know, it should be almost addictive for you, and hopefully other people will find it the same way. There's never going to be a fragrance that everyone absolutely loves. So I think firstly and most importantly that you should like what you put on, because I'm not about to spray on, you know, the sort of most popular fragrance as voted for by whoever in GQ magazine, if I don't particularly like it, even though percentage wise it probably means that lots of people on the street will like how I smell. But if I don't like how I smell, it's not having the right effect. It has to empower me, you know, and it has to make me feel good about myself, boost my confidence, so I'm enjoying the smell of myself. That is first and foremost, I think, what fragrance should be about. And then the secondary part of that is that you hope other people will like it too. And I don't think this is polarizing at all. In fact, I don't think any of these three would be polarizing. I think maybe the first, the Carnal Flower, wouldn't be for all guys. You know, there would be guys that found that a little too on the feminine side. Equally, there's many guys that would happily rock it. But I think Promise is something that would appeal to pretty much all guys, and there would certainly be some ladies that would wear that as well. My wife being one of them. Her absolute favourite is Madawi Gold 40 Year, and that is a very sort of heavy, bassy, oody scent, which is popular out in places like UAE, and you know, she loves these kind of stronger scents, quite masculine leaning, quite musky. But yeah, I'm loving Portrait of a Lady. Kind of the longer I leave it and the more I smell it, the more I like it, and it's actually great on skin. You know, it's developing on skin a lot more. It's got a lot more of a mid-tone on here. Again, it's quite a high tone on here, but on my skin it kind of just smells like it's got more depth. That sort of Turkish Delight rose, a little sweetness, some frankincense. Let's see how we get on. I'll have a look, see what's actually in these things, and we'll go through them and see how right I was. Okay, Portrait of a Lady, top note rose, yeah, we got that. Then middle notes, blackcurrant, raspberry and clove. So that's interesting. I didn't pick those up, but I think probably the combination of those with the rose is where I'm getting that kind of sweet Turkish Delight kind of smell. So yeah, that kind of makes sense as to what I was smelling. My nose isn't sensitive enough to just pick out each of those, but it's a very pleasing smell when you put it all together for sure. And then the base notes are patchouli, which I think I might have mentioned, maybe not, sandalwood and frankincense, which I definitely mentioned. I didn't mention sandalwood. That would probably be what I was smelling on my skin that kind of gave it that more depth, a little more kind of bassy feeling to it. But yeah, I absolutely love this smell. I would 100% wear that, no doubt. It's not my absolute favourite. Promise would be my favourite because it's so near to the type of scent I'm normally attracted to. So let's have a look and see how close I was with Promise. Okay, so Promise is very interesting because I said I could smell oud, and I've just looked, there's no oud in the notes, but it does say that Promise is a masterly perfume by Dominique Ropion for the Desert Gems collection, which recreates the alluring power of oud. So it recreates the power of oud. Oud is a natural treasure of black gold with a deep faceted scent that fascinates master perfumer Dominique Ropion, of course. With promise, he recreates all of its nobility with cypriol, a plant native to India, accompanied by precious essence of Turkish and Bulgarian roses. Okay, so that's really cool. So I was actually picking up oud, and there's no oud in it by the look of it. It's a recreation of the oud smell, which he has done a fantastic job of, because you know, that's exactly what I got. So we have top notes of pink pepper, which I did say I could smell some kind of peppery smell. Rosemary oil I didn't get. Apple accord I did not get. Bulgarian rose oil, yeah, I picked up some rose for sure. Turkish rose, clove oil, which I did pick up. Patchouli heart, which I think I said patchouli. Ambroxan, I didn't pick that up. Labdanum, I did not pick that up. And cypriol heart, I did not pick that up. So I'm definitely not at a high enough level to kind of pick through all those. But he certainly achieved what he set out to, which was to recreate some sort of beautiful oud smell. And what I picked up with this was that sort of Middle Eastern mystery, that you know, wandering through a souk, all these kind of different smells, the oud in the background. So he did a fantastic job, because he recreated in my nose exactly what he set out to do. Right, so the last was Carnal Flower, also interesting. Top notes, water fruits, melon, plus vegetal notes. Now it's interesting that I described it as being like cut flower stems, because you've got this water fruit plus these like vegetal notes, which to me would summon up the idea of cut flower stems. I certainly didn't get melon. I think I said I could smell something fruity. I was leaning towards it maybe being some sort of citrus fruit, because of those kind of vegetal notes as well. But the combination of the two definitely gives me that kind of cut flower feeling. Tuberose, which, yeah, I picked up some rose, and it says fresh aspect. And then the base notes, tuberose, milky aspect, and musk, which I did get a kind of base level of musk on the skin. Yeah, so, you know, I'm picking that up now. And now it's mentioned, I can pick out the watermelon. It's just, it's so caught up in my mind as that kind of cut flower smell that it's only when you realise it's there can you actually differentiate the two and kind of pull it apart from that. It's funny how smells are. Huh? You can kind of, your brain just puts them together and recreates a scene or an image or something like that. And when you actually see it written down, you can kind of pull them all out of that scene as if you're pulling apart like a mathematical calculation. But great job. I mean, obviously it's a great job, because that's why these things are iconic, and the perfumer is super well respected and all that, so I shouldn't be too surprised that he's managed to impress my amateur nose. But it has surprised me that he was able to recreate the things he set out to recreate, or certainly with the oud, and just the interesting depth of these scents. You know, they're not scents that on first inspection I would normally be drawn to, but they are so interesting that I am quite drawn to them, and I probably will end up buying a couple. But I tell you now, I will absolutely buy Promise. I say that it probably costs a ridiculous amount of money, but whatever, I will buy that, because that is really something I would wear regularly. Guys, thank you for watching. Please do tune in for the second part of this. In the second part, I will be taking a look at Musk Ravageur, Eau de Magnolia, which I think might smell of magnolias, and Rose Tonnerre. So I'll give those a smell in exactly the same way. I don't want to kind of be going all the way up my arm, because then we're going to start getting mixed up, and it's just not very helpful. So please like and subscribe. You're doing me a massive favour if you do that, because this is a brand new channel. Like I say, we're on a tight budget. I'm buying these little packs, doing these like blind smellings, and everything costs money. So the more subscribers we can get, hopefully we can get up to a monetized position, and then that will help me actually buy products for the channel. I'm never going to get rich off of YouTube. I'm not that guy. I do it as a hobby and I just like to bring people content. So any money that comes into the channel, well, all it will do is fund more things for the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great Easter weekend. Take care. I'll catch you all next time.